Mine damer og herrer, velkommen tilbage til endnu en video på Mattemus kanalen, hvor vi i dag skal se på Logan Paul is lying about Prime. Jeg tænkte, det var en meget spændende video. Hvis I undrer over, hvorfor der ikke var så mange videoer de sidste par dage på den her kanal. Jeg ved godt, folk siger, at jeg helt kommer undskyldninger og bla bla bla. Jeg lavede 2 reaktionsvideoer i dag, som jeg tænkte, jeg kunne poste en af dem i dag. Begge 2 er blevet demonetized, og det er fordi YouTube må råde i en fase, at hvis du lige har et par videoer i streg, hvor det er, at de bliver demonetized, og nogle ting, det var nogle stream highlights, jeg så vælger de at demonetize alle dine videoer, du uploader lige meget hvad. Altså en af dem var min vlog tilbage for 5-6 år siden til en FIFA-turnering, som de valgte at demonetize. Så ved I godt, hvor slemt det er. Så jeg skal altid anmode YouTube om, at de lige kan blive monetized, og så skal jeg vente i måske et par dage, en time, whatever, det er lidt balanceret, og så kan jeg poste dem. Og jo, jeg kan også godt poste dem, vil nogen sige, demonetize, fordi alle handler ikke om penge, men hvis de demonetize, så tror de heller ikke så meget anbefalet, så det er sådan lidt det. Så jeg har også tænkt mig at lave en video omkring Matteus video, hvor der er, at han hater lidt på JK, det gjorde jeg også, og det blev også demonetized. Så det er jo super fint. Så den slettede jeg bare. Fordi nu har JK også uploadet sine reaktioner, så tænker jeg, så lader vi dem stå for det. Jeg tænkte bare lige, at jeg kunne join ind med min mening, men det må jeg bare ikke for YouTube. Vi skal i hvert fald se den her video. Den dukker op i min anbefalet. Jeg tænkte, det var meget spændende, og jeg tænkte, jeg lige så godt kunne have jer med på rejsen. Så lad os da få den set sammen. Nu fik jeg en lidt lang forklaring, men let's go.
Almost exactly 1 year ago, massive YouTubers Logan Paul and KSI joined forces to launch Prime.
Det er crazy. Altså det er crazy, hvor stort det her Prime her det er blevet. Fuck, hvor kommer de til at tjene mange penge på det. Det er jo en billion dollars forretning, $1 milliard forretning, de har fået skabt på et år. Jeg synes, det er imponerende. Jeg synes virkelig, det er imponerende.
Brand that's coming after the likes of
Powerade.
And now, almost exactly 1 year later, this stuff is everywhere. It's in stores.
I don't think you're gonna see this coming. Look at this.
No! God damn it, man!
It's the official drink of the UFC. It's in almost every YouTube short.
Det er legit. Den hoveddrikken, eller hvad man kalder det, UFC, de er sponsor for Arsenal. Du kan nærmest ikke få det i UK, fordi det hele tiden bliver udsolgt. USA kan du så godt. Så er der også kommet til Australien nu. Det kommer til Island. Fuck, hvor tjener de mange penge.
That I get recommended.
Prime.
This stuff even got itself a Super Bowl commercial. Hold on.
Ja.
Wind that back.
Det glemte jeg også at nævne, Jesus.
Is that Markiplier?
Oh, that's good.
Ah, damn it. I guess I gotta try it. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, where red hot drinks get cold hard facts. And let me just cut right to the chase with this one. Prime is massive and is currently on track to be the most successful creator startup brand ever. In its first year, it reportedly has earned $250 million in revenue. Now, it's always important to remember that revenue is very different from
Ja, det er det selvfølgelig. Revenue og profit, det er selvfølgelig 2 forskellige ting. Men jeg gad alligevel godt se sådan, det må jo så være, hvor meget de har omsat for. Er det ikke det, man kalder det i Danmark? Så det er været 250 millioner. 1,7 milliarder. Wow. Det er jo ikke profit, det skal vi også lige huske, men stadig, altså lige meget hvad, så ved vi jo lige meget hvad, at de har fået en bunke profit i hvert fald.
Profits, and that those sorts of numbers can be the result of a lot of different factors, so take all of that with a grain of salt, but to give that $250 million some context, Mr. Beast's Feastables chocolate brand reportedly had $10 million in sales its first year. Anyway, you slice it, the numbers here are eye-watering. Here's the thing though,
insane.
I don't buy it. Something's not right about all this. Don't get me wrong, I'm normally eager to celebrate the success of any creator-led business, but Logan Paul, for some reason, I just get a little suspicious of things that he puts his name to. Not really sure why.
Alt det der, hvad kalder man det, NFT, eller hvad fanden, hvad er det, man kalder dem? NFT, og alt det der scam, og alt det der sker med Logan, så kan jeg jo godt forstå det.
Today we're investigating Logan Paul's CryptoZoo, a
Crypto,
blockchain game that made millions but never worked.
I'm moving to Puerto Rico. I feel like people are wondering why Puerto Rico, right? Taxes. It's one vertical. It's a big one.
We found a dead body.
I want to apologize to the internet.
Yeah. Well, jeg vil sige, i forhold til det der, det er jo lidt irrelevant, fordi det er jo noget, hvad kalder man det, livligt, altså en livlig fejl, han jo har udsat sig for. Det gør jo ikke, at man kan stole mindre for ham. Det er jo, altså jeg synes, der er fin kontekst inden for det der med, at han rykker andre steder hen på grund af skatten, selvfølgelig skulle være anderledes, og alt det der, fordi det har noget med økonomisk og alt det der gør, men det her med, at han filmede en død krop, hvilket er meget respektløst, og alt det der, det er slet ikke det, men det har jo intet at gøre med kontekst omkring noget inden for økonomi overhovedet. Men, yeah.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it. Just a hunch, I guess. So today, I wanted to take a closer look at Prime to see if it's really the wonder product everyone's making it out to be. Is this the next major...
Det kan selvfølgelig også bare være, at folk har har tabt lidt mere sådan det menneskelige syn på Logan på den måde. Det kan også godt være.
Thing in sports hydration, or is it yet another Logan Paul get rich quick scheme? Spoiler alert, it's a little bit of both actually. So the thing that I've been seeing crop up again and again have been videos like this, where Logan compares popular sports drinks to Prime. Prime versus Gatorade, Prime versus Red Bull, Prime versus Liquid IV.
Alright, we're going bottle for bottle. These are all facts.
And every time it seems like it's a win for Prime. Then again, I suppose if it weren't, the video wouldn't exist in the first place, you know? So anyway, I wanted to zoom in on one of these stat battles.
Men der skal også en del til for at produktet kan vinde alle dueller.
See if there's any truth to Logan's pitch. The one I want to focus on is against Prime's biggest rival, Gatorade, the granddaddy of sports beverages. And immediately, without any words even leaving his mouth, there's a red flag. The bottle difference. Off the bat, Logan is using Prime's 500 milliliter bottle, and he's comparing it against Gatorade's larger 591 milliliter bottle. So when he says things like this,
Gatorade has 36 grams of sugar in it.
Sure, it might be true, but that's also talking about a bigger serving size. It's something that Logan even calls out later in the video.
And a bigger bottle.
But then doesn't correct the math for. So you know what? I'm gonna do exactly that. I'm gonna compare the two drinks milliliter for milliliter rather than bottle for bottle like he does. He starts off with sugar, so we're gonna do that too. 36 grams for Gatorade versus 2 for Prime.
Ja, der kommer de jo lige meget
60 milligrams per milliliter for Gatorade and 0.4 milligrams per milliliter for Prime. Victory for Prime, right? Well, don't call this one just yet because he's not making a truthful comparison here. For the Gatorade, the 36 grams he's pulling is from the total carbohydrate number on the nutrition label. But for Prime, he's pulling the total sugars amount, a lower subset of the total carbs number. If he were truly comparing the two drinks fairly and correcting for the volume of liquid, it'd be 28.7 grams of total sugar in Gatorade versus 2 in Prime. Still a win for Prime, and still by a wide margin, but at least the numbers are accurate and fair rather than artificially skewed. Next up, calories.
Jeg kan godt se, hvad jeg mener. At man måske lige skulle have regnet det ud, men jeg tror måske lige den situation har det været lidt irrelevant, når man godt vidste, hvor lidt sukker der var i Prime frem for Gatorade.
Gatorade has 140 calories. Look at that. Prime only has 25.
Yeah, this is accurate. The higher sugar content is really propping up Gatorade's number here. Comparing per milliliter, Gatorade's looking at 0.25 calories per ml versus Prime's 0.05. Prime is literally a fifth of the calories once you normalize the data. Last, but certainly not least, the biggie.
Og fordi jeg har smagt Prime, og jeg synes, det der er mest imponerende ved Prime, det er, at det er, altså for mig, tror jeg, det er for sødt. Nu er det også svært, fordi det er noget tid siden, jeg har smagt det, men jeg synes, det er imponerende, hvor sødt det er i forhold til, hvor lidt kalorier og hvor lidt sukker der er i. Så fair play for det. Og jeg gad sgu godt lige sådan, at det var i Danmark. Sådan, vil jeg virkelig... Altså efter en måneds tid vil jeg så være den, der sådan køber det der... Jeg tror bare, flasken, den gør også bare så meget. Deres design på flasken er så smart. Man har jo lyst til... du har lyst til at drikke den der flaske. Det har du. Altså det er fucking genialt. Så jeg fatter ikke lige, hvordan de har gjort det, men... det kommer også om, hvad de koster, hvis de kommer til Danmark. Hvad vil de så koste? Altså sådan, vil de koste 20 kroner? Så køb det frem for en monster, du kan købe i normalt til 10 kroner. Det er også lidt...
A stat that seems to bury Gatorade.
We're both electrolyte drinks. Gatorade has 350 milligrams of electrolytes. Prime doubles it with 825 milligrams of electrolytes.
That is a massive difference. Literally a 2x difference.
Yeah.
Like 2x of what exactly? What do those numbers actually mean? Like, Gatorade has been the go-to sports drink for decades. How could this newcomer just swoop in and dominate so completely? This too set off a lot of red flags for me. Too good to be true, right? Clearly something's gotta be wrong here. Well, let's start with the basics. The first thing that Logan says, they're both electrolyte drinks. What's that mean? Well, a sports drink, otherwise known as an electrolyte drink, is legally defined as any non-alcoholic beverage containing electrolytes or glucose that's intended to be consumed in order to replenish electrolytes that are lost during exercise. Quote-unquote sports drinks don't require FDA approval, so they won't include any kind of special labeling unless they
Det vidste jeg faktisk ikke.
have caffeine. So in general, this category is pretty darn broad. As far as I can
Jeg har lært noget nyt i dag. Fair.
Hell, there doesn't seem to be any sort of minimum requirements for electrolytes, calories, no calories, sugar, vitamins, anything else. The definition is largely marketing-based, which is why when you walk down the sports drinks section of the grocery store, there's a huge range of options with vastly different ingredients. Based on the loose definition that does exist, though, safe to say that Prime qualifies as a sports drink and that having electrolytes has a lot to do with it. But that then begs the question, what is an electrolyte? When I first started writing this episode, I thought I had a rough idea, but I wasn't totally sure. It's just one of those words that gets tossed around a lot when you see the imagery of a sweaty Michael Jordan guzzling down a Gatorade or a football coach getting the whole water cooler dumped on him. But chemically, what are they and why do you need them when you're playing sports? Well, at the basic level, electrolytes have the word electro in them, which is exactly what it sounds like, electricity. Electrolytes are charged molecules, meaning they can either have a positive or negative charge, and as a result, they play a big role in transporting things around your body. There are only 8 electrolytes that are typically listed in foods: sodium, potassium, chloride, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium.
Der rører for meget kemi, det her. Jeg fik 0 kemi i folkeskolen, så altså, jeg ved ikke lige... Den eneste grund til, at jeg bestod kemi tilbage... Nej, det var så fysikkemi i folkeskolen. Den eneste grund til, at jeg bestod i gymnasiet, var på grund af corona, 100%. Der skulle vi bare ind til sådan en mundtlig samtale i et kvarter, og der fuckede jeg også alt op. Men jeg fik alligevel 02. I don't get it, men jeg tager det.
And bicarbonate, most of which probably sounds somewhat familiar because you've been hearing about them since the 90s when they tried to make SpaghettiOs look healthy. In general, electrolytes are responsible for helping your brain fire off messages between neurons, helping your cells produce energy, and regulating the amount of fluids in your body. When it comes to exercise, they also help regulate the contraction of all your muscles, meaning that if you lose too many electrolytes, your body physically can't send off the electrical charges it needs to flex your muscles anymore. And it turns out that when you exercise a lot, you lose a lot of electrolytes in your sweat.
Men så er det jo, så er Prime vel klart bedst, hvis det er, de er dobbelt så meget som Gatorade.
See, since a large percentage of your body is water, and electrolytes are polar...
Men også derfor, de altid kalder det en hydration drink, I guess.
Charged molecules, they move around really easily in your watery bloodstream, and they end up getting squeezed out the other end of your pores when you're getting sweaty with your best bros. The idea of drinking a sports drink instead of just water is that when you're exercising intensely for long periods of time, you're losing so much water that you're actually washing the electrolytes straight out of your system, and you're gonna start feeling tired and sluggish without those things. But how much are you really losing here? A few drops of Gatorade on the brow isn't gonna be needing a 20 ounce of Gatorade and hundreds of milligrams of electrolytes, right? Well, not so fast. Of course, all exercise and water loss is going to be totally dependent on your body, your exercise routine, your environment, but in the case of serious athletes, we're not talking about a little sprinkle. In Carl Gisolfi's article, Water Requirements During Exercise in the Heat, he notes that while exercising in the heat, the body can lose as much as 3 to 4 liters of water every hour. That is almost a gallon. And you can lose more than that over several hours. A gallon of water lost is over 8 pounds of body weight that you just sweated right out of your system, which if it sounds like a lot, it is. This is why you see boxers trying to sweat off the pounds before a weigh-in, because water weight actually makes a massive difference. Unfortunately, you just can't sweat it out forever. As soon as you start to lose more than 2% of your total body weight in water, you actively start to experience symptoms of dehydration, including headaches, nausea, cramping, and fatigue, because your body is shutting down without the ability to regulate and contract your muscles. For a 150-pound person, this means that losing more than 3 pounds of water, or just over 1 liter,
Fuck, der bliver sagt meget om det her lige nu. Det der electrolytes, det trækker virkelig ud, synes jeg.
Can cause your whole game to suffer. And thus, you can really start to see why the sports drink market is such a thriving business. People working hard jobs all day are losing water and electrolytes constantly, and those things need to be replaced. On the flip side, if you're like me and just
so they make
to hit the old stride machine for 20 to 30 minutes a couple days a week, chances are you don't need to be refueling with sports beverages because you're not losing enough water and electrolytes. You can stick to the water, save some money, just stop being posers about it. Knowing all of this, do Logan's stats here line up? Yeah, kinda. If anything, he's underselling Prime in this category, which seems incredibly sussy for a guy like him. He says Prime has
was just shooting class action first roll in crypto suit.
825 milligrams of electrolytes, but according to my calculation, it should be 835. 700 milligrams of potassium, 124 of magnesium, and 10 of sodium or salt. Gatorade, meanwhile, is exactly what he says it is. 270 milligrams of sodium and 80 of potassium for a grand total of 350. To recap, well, yes, some of the comparisons were biased in Logan's favor. When I normalize the data, Prime still won. Am I gonna have to give the dub to...
Er det så ikke også irrelevant? Er det ikke det? Altså, som hvis han alligevel har fået dobbelt, så har han fået dobbelt. Altså, what's the point?
Logan? No, not yet. Maybe the difference isn't nutritional here. Maybe it's all taste-based. Maybe the flavor of these things sucks. To know for sure, I bought every flavor of Prime. And then I bought every other sports drink on the market with similar flavors. In total, we had 52 drinks spanning Prime's 7 core flavors. Though, to be fair, some categories were more...
Har Powerade en grape-version? What the fuck? Jeg tror Powerade er meget større i USA, end det er for eksempel i Danmark her. Fordi i Danmark, jeg har set den gule, Jeg har set den blå selvfølgelig, og så den røde måske nogle steder, men det er altid den blå, jeg køber, hvis jeg altid køber noget Powerade.
More contested than others. We then set up a series of blind taste tests to see which brand would come out on.
Det er særligt, at vi ikke har de der Gatorade-former. Det tror jeg kunne være meget federe, i stedet for de der sådan med sådan suge, sådan klam en.
Top. All right, Josiah, thanks for joining me here on Food Theory. We have a selection of basically every sports beverage that I can find at like the 3 local grocery stores. And I need you to go down the line and just tell me which is your favorite and what is your least favorite, please.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Wow. That one tasted a bit saltier, actually, than these other 2.
Okay.
My top was B. And my least favorite.
That's really fruity. Ooh, actually, the aftertaste.
Fuck, hvor har de mange produkter i Amerika. Det kommer jeg bare til at tænke på.
This one's bad. That one's about the same, but a little fruitier. C's the best one.
Er de totalt sådan haters af Logan Paul, siden er de sådan, han ramte lige Prime. No way, gjorde jeg, det gjorde jeg ikke.
That's weird.
What's that reaction?
That's like... That feels like salty, immediately salty.
Damn. Ligesom lige efter man har været sammen med sin unge, eller hvad?
That is... I wouldn't have said that was orange if I didn't know that was orange. I can tell you my worst 2. D and F.
D and F, okay, your worst 2.
Yeah.
Powerade or Gatorade? Oh my god. And doesn't Powerade Zero? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Best, A and C, I think will be my top 2.
Okay. The one that you said is wildly different from the others, but really flavorful.
Yeah, E.
That is Prime.
Okay, because it's like, it wasn't bad. Like I say, I think F and D were worse from a flavor perspective, but it was just really odd.
So I want to get on the action as an extra test subject, so I'm not involved with any of these from here on out. Ooh, much stronger. Okay.
Powerade i lime-version også. Wait a second. Hedder det Powerade? Altså hedder det Powerade? Det hedder ikke Powerade. Har jeg lært noget nyt i dag? Hedder Powerade? Det hedder Powerade? Hedder det Powerade? Det hedder Powerade. Du kalder det ikke Powerade. Umuligt. En kritiker for første gang, eller?
It was close for the one that I hated the most. I think I've got to go with G. It is a unique moment.
Ready. Den hedder bare Ready.
When I feel like I'm drinking part of like maybe my own stomach acid in a sports drink. So we're gonna peg that one as the worst, followed closely by I, to be honest.
Interestingly, no sugar flavors tended to rank higher than any fully sugared brands, with Powerade Zero being the overall winner with the consistently highest.
Powerade Zero, det havde de på et tidspunkt normalt. Det har det ikke længere. I hvert fald ikke i min, sådan i Kolding. What, så en flaske der med Powerade Zero? Brother, hvis det kom til Danmark, jeg vil jo købe det der hver dag. Altså sådan Powerade, jeg elsker det. Jeg har også med Powerade Zero, og det er lidt mere vandet, I know. Men det er seriøst.
Rankings across the board. That said, no one brand dominated every flavor category. And while Prime didn't win everything, it certainly did win a few, with an especially strong performance in Tropical Punch. In general, it was consistently well received. The only problem was that it was just much sweeter than any other sports drink brand. The other drinks tended to have flavors that felt thinner, a bit closer to water. Prime, meanwhile, was a lot like Kool-Aid or Pedialyte, a stronger, denser, more syrupy flavor, which in turn made it feel, at least to me, heavier. Because of how dummy thick the flavor was, it wasn't really something that I or the rest of the team would actively reach for to recover from a workout. But just as a flavored water to drink around the house, yeah, that'd be great for that. Even after the taste tests, there was something that I couldn't quite kick. All the other sports beverages did taste fundamentally different from Prime. They all had a slightly muted flavor, even sometimes a salty flavor. And yet here was Prime tasted like a melted lollipop. How? How was the one drink with the least sugar content the one that tasted so much more sugar than the rest? And why did it have a fundamentally different flavor than all the other sports drinks? Again, something felt off about this. Something keeps feeling off about this stuff. What is it? So I went back to the nutrition label again, and that's when it hit me. Look again at the comparison of the electrolytes. Sure, Gatorade has 300 milligrams and Prime has over 800, but the way they get to those numbers is vastly different. Prime has 10 milligrams of sodium, 124 of magnesium, and a whopping 700 100 milligrams of potassium. Gatorade, meanwhile, has 80 milligrams of potassium and 270 milligrams of sodium. The ratio here is almost completely reversed. That is why you're getting a salty flavor from all these other sports beverages. Logan's Prime has 70 times as much potassium as sodium. Gatorade, meanwhile, has...
Altså, jeg ved ikke, hvad alt det der potassium og alt det der fisk, der det betyder, men det giver jo nok fint at mene, når der variation er anderledes fra drik til drik.
A ton of sodium and a tiny amount of potassium. Powerade, same ratios as Gatorade. So I had to keep looking. Body Armor, another top contender in our taste test, is closer to Prime. BioSteel, the one with the juice boxes, came in with a completely different ratio than all the others with equal amounts of potassium and sodium. So that then brings us to what's probably the biggest question in all of this. What is the proper ratio for all these electrolytes? Is this the thing that's been nagging me about Prime all along? Well, it's important to note that each electrolyte is responsible for something different. Sodium, which we get mostly from common table salt, is the most prevalent, and it basically exists in all the spaces outside and around your cells to help you regulate blood pH and your overall water levels. How much you're getting out, how much your kidneys are filtering out, things like that. Potassium, on the other hand, works inside your cells to help produce ATP, the little energy molecules that help power your body. Potassium also works in your heart to make sure it's pumping normally. Too much or too little potassium, and you could start having heart problems and irregular rhythms. Calcium and magnesium play
Så man må vel gå ud fra, at du ikke må drikke for meget Prime, så hvis det, du får for meget, når der er så meget i.
But still important roles in your muscle contraction and brain function, keeping you mentally and physically sharp. So, at the end of the day, it kind of seems like they're all important in their own right, so which ratio is the one we're aiming for in a sports drink? Well, remember the whole premise of a sports drink. It's to replace the electrolytes that you lose during exercise. That means that we don't need to worry about every electrolyte in the body, we only need to focus on the ones that we're losing during said exercise. And we're not losing them all at the same rate here either. The average person's sweat ratio of electrolytes is 220 milligrams of sodium for every 63 grams of potassium, 16 of calcium, and 8 of magnesium. That means that you're losing nearly...
Så sodium, var det de andre havde mere af og havde mere fokus på?
3.5 times more sodium at any given time than any other electrolytes. And if you're doing the type of exercise that needs a sports drink, you need to find one that replaces sodium.
Ja, det er netop det, fordi så potassium, alt det potassium, du får inden for Prime er vel lidt irrelevant.
Before worrying about anything else. Looking back at the ratios that we found across our sports drink.
Nu skal det se. Sodium. Se, det er jo sodium, Prime ikke har en fucking shite af. Okay, det er interessant. Det er faktisk lidt wild. Okay. Sodium, de har 230 ned højere.
It now comes down to which formula replenishes your electrolytes at the ratio closest to the sweat that you're losing. Knowing that, let's look at Prime. Sure, it has a ton of electrolytes, but none of them are the ones that you need to be replacing. Prime has given you a ton of potassium. This thing is practically a banana, but you don't really need potassium in the middle of strenuous exercise. At least you don't need it nearly as much as you need sodium. In your sweat, you lose sodium to potassium at a ratio of 3.5 to 1. But with Prime, you're giving your body 0.014 milligrams of sodium to 1 milligram of potassium. You are essentially completely missing the one electrolyte that your body needs the most while sporting. What about the other sports drinks on the block? Well, Body Armor's ratio is 0.05. It's actually very similar to Prime. BioSteel is at least a 1-to-1 ratio with the same sodium and potassium content. I suspect that they're all sacrificing the sodium because it keeps these drinks tasting sweeter. More sodium means a saltier flavor like the traditional sports beverage of Gatorade. Speaking of Gatorade, Gatorade and Powerade both have astonishingly different ratios than these newer competitors, with Gatorade at a ratio of 3.4 sodium to potassium, and Powerade at the very top of the scale with 4.1 milligrams of sodium to
so de har mere sodium.
both coming in shockingly close to the actual ratios of real-life sweat. This, in turn, makes them infinitely more effective than the other three options at actually doing what they say they're doing, replacing what your body loses during exercise.
Så replacer altså faktisk det, som kroppen har brug for, i stedet for Prime, som sådan giver dig måske lidt for meget unødvendigt af nogle visse ting, i forhold til hvad du reelt set har brug for.
Feel free to sprinkle your coconut water on whatever you want. It's great that a lot of these new sports beverages don't have the dyes and preservatives and all the added sugars, but at the end of the day, the reason they're tasting so much sweeter than the Gatorades of the world is that they're missing the main ingredients that sports drinks need to be having, salt in the form of electrolytes. For really bottling and feeding you back your own sweat, Gatorade has made their drinks taste remarkably good over the years. But the thing is, at some point if you're sweating salt, the only way to get it back into your body is to drink it, not pay paper over it with a bunch of other filler electrolytes that you don't need. What's the conclusion here? Honestly, that the definition of sports drinks and rehydration beverages are just too broad and ill-defined. If you're looking to replace sweat in your body, you need something with more sodium, something that Prime does not deliver on. That said, it's not like Logan is pulling a scam here or anything. He is delivering on exactly what he says he is, a drink full of electrolytes, more than any other sports drink in the space. But
han skjuler lidt det, den egentlig ikke har brug for, men han lyver jo ikke, fordi det går åbenbart ind under den her overall kategori, der hedder electrolytes, så ja.
Electrolytes aren't equivalent. They don't function the same. The formulation of Prime is fundamentally delivering a different product than the Gatorades and Powerades of the world, which in turn allows it to taste less salty while still competing in the same broad category. My personal concern is that other brands, seeing the threat to its consumers, might change their more scientifically accurate formulations to better compete with the increasing threat and better taste of Prime.
Det kunne være spændende, hvis der var nogen, der puttede mere potassium, eller hvad det hedder, ind, og og samtidig med det havde en høj sodium, eller hvad det hedder. Så at man stadig gik efter cirka den samme sodium, som lad os sige Powerade har, eller whatever, og så puttede noget af det samme stil med potassium ind, som Prime har, og så se hvilken drik man kunne lave ud af det.
Something that I suspect will end up being a net negative for the entire sports drink market.
Honestly, there's no comparison.
You know what, Logan? For the first time, I think we can actually agree. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bottoms up. And hey, if you're thirsty for more content...
Det var sgu spændende. Det var lidt mere nørdet, end hvad jeg troede, det ville blive. Men jeg kunne egentlig godt lide det. Og jeg fik lært en hel masse. Jeg er blevet meget klogere, i hvert fald inden for Prime og så videre. Men det giver meget mere mening nu faktisk, hvorfor de er så søde. Fordi det er faktisk det spørgsmål, jeg altid har haft. Hvordan kan der være så lidt kalorier i? Og så samtidig med det kan der være så sødt, som det er. Og der var så lidt sukker i også. Så det bliver jeg faktisk klogere på. Grineren. Det var dejligt at lære noget fra i dag. Nå, hvis jeg nyt videoen, det var en lidt lang video, men hvis jeg har sat og hyggespillet et eller andet ved siden af, eller et eller andet nyt video, så må jeg meget gerne smide like, kommentere, subscribe, og ses vi forhåbentlig i morgen til endnu en video. Peace!